Hey guys, it's Mark here from Hallmark Pool Supplies. I'm here today to talk to you guys about how we winterize an above ground pool. Now there are several different ways that we can winterize an above ground pool. It's a matter of preference, and it also depends on where you live. For an example, further up north, we have much colder winters, so the winterizing process is a little bit different, but I'm going to show you the overall general way that we winterize a pool for most of us. If at any time you guys have any questions, you can always contact me. I'll be glad to answer any questions in detail or go over anything with you in regards to winterizing your above ground pool. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is obviously we want to make sure that the pool is balanced. So you got to have the pool balanced. Then you want to make sure that the pool is clean. Once the pool is balanced and cleaned, then you'll be adding a winter kit. Now, depending on the type of chemicals you use, some pools will use a winter kit. Some pools, for an example, if you're on Baquasil, there are no winter kits. So it depends on the type of chemicals that you're using will determine if you're going to be needing a winter kit. But it is important to get the pool balanced and get it cleaned so that you are able to cover the pool, because we want to have the pool covered so that during the winter it's not going to get dirty. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to come over to the return, and that's the outlet where the water shoots back into the pool, and we're going to actually remove this. And this is what a return fitting looks like. It's actually 3 parts, because if I unscrew it, you have the retainer ring, the eyeball, and then the actual fitting that screws into the wall that makes up your return. If you go to unscrew this and this is left in the wall, we can't put a plug in it because we've got to get this out. And sometimes these get stuck and they're a little hard to get out. And if that happens, we do have a tool that is made to go right inside this slot, which will allow us to unscrew and remove it. In this case, I was able to take it out with no issue, did not need the tool, but we can also put it back together. Now we've removed the return, and now we're going to take our plug. It does have an O-ring on it, and we're just going to reach over and we're going to screw it into the return fitting snug. That's all that's required. With that being plugged, this is just a basic return. For those of you that have a light, we're going to show you in just a minute how that's done and how we can take the light off and plug that as well. Okay, for those of you that have a light in your return, I'm going to show you how we take it apart and winterize it. The most common light on the market is the Aqua Illuminator, and this is what it looks like. So if you have a light like this in your pool, this is a light and a return combo. We're going to come on the back side and we're going to show you how we take this apart so that we can winterize this, because we do not want this to freeze. So in order to remove the cap on the back, which is where your electric connects, all we're going to do is give it a twist, and then we just lift up and that comes apart. And then we disconnect our wires. And for future note, when you go to hook this back up, you're going to see 2 wires in here, and you're going to see 2 wires here. When we go to hook this back up, it will not make any difference if we switch the wires. That's going to be the same, just so you don't have to remember that. But we're going to discard the electric. Then we're going to come over here and we're going to unscrew this locking ring. Once we do so, we're going to be able to pull the light itself out. At that time, you put your hand here because you don't want to get wet. So now we've got the light out. And then what we're going to do is we're going to get a number 9 expandable plug, and that actually goes in here. We push this in, and then we hand tighten it. And that's all we've got to do. Now we're going to be able to remove our hand because we don't have to worry about the water coming out. And then we can go ahead and disconnect our hose and remove the hose. So it's basically the same principle, just a different step, because we want to make sure that we protect the light itself. So this is how we take it off if you have a return light such as an Aqua Illuminator. Okay, now that we've got the return plug, we've got to take care of the skimmer, because we obviously don't want the skimmer to freeze. There is a lot of water in here, and if you get a hard freeze, this could crack and bust. So what we want to do is we want to remove our basket, and I've got a skimmer guard here. There's several different names for these, but the basic principle of this is to screw this in, and it allows for expansion so that the skimmer does not crack. In other words, water freezes from inside out. By putting the skimmer guard into our skimmer, it will reverse and freeze inward and crush the guard. That way it protects the skimmer from freezing, because if this cracks and busts, then you're going to end up having water loss in the pool through the winter. So you definitely want to use this. And what I like to do is I like to get some Teflon tape, and this is made for 1.5 and 2 inch. Pretty much all the above ground pools out there are going to be 1.5. And what we want to do is we want to wrap this with some Teflon tape, so when we screw it in, it's got a good seal so that it doesn't leak. We're going to take our skimmer guard down, and then we're going to screw it in the fitting down below. And when I'm done, this is basically what you have. And that is going to protect this skimmer from freezing. Now at this point, since I've got the return and the skimmer plugged, I'm going to be able to remove the hose and lay it down. I'm going to be able to come over here and remove the hose off the return, or a light if you have a light, and lay this hose down on the ground. So as we can see, the pool now has been plugged. The system is separated from the pool. So at this point in time, we can cover the pool. That part is done. Now we have to concentrate on winterizing the system so that we don't have any freeze damage. We're going to start with the winterization process. And in this video, because on my display pool here, I have a Hayward system, I'm going to be showing you how we winterize the equipment here. If you have a Pentair or another brand, they're all pretty much are about the same, but we're going to show you how we winterize the system. So we want to come down here to the pump, and we want to unscrew this plug. So if you guys have a pump that has two drain plugs, such as a Dynamo by Pentair, we want to make sure we remove both plugs, one in the front and one in the back. It's very important because we want to make sure that both bodies here get drained. By unscrewing this plug, that's going to allow the water to drain out of the pump, because we don't want to have any water in here. We want to make sure that water's completely out so it doesn't freeze. And at this time, I'm going to remove the lid, because what I like to do is I like to put all my plugs and fittings inside here. That way we know where they're at next year when we come back out to open the pool. So I'm going to remove the hose. We've got the plug out. We're going to come over to the tank. We're going to unscrew the pressure gauge. We're going to unscrew the sight glass, because there is water in that and we don't want that to freeze. And I'm going to put all of that right here into the pump, so that way we know where it's at. Then we're going to take the lever here and we're going to put it on winter. That's in a non-groove position. What this is doing is it's raising the multiport diverter up. That's going to allow us to drain the filter. And we're going to come back here and we're going to unscrew the cap on the filter tank itself, so that that way the water can drain from the filter. And I'll put this cap in the pump as well. Basically, we have removed the pressure gauge, the sight glass. We've put this in the non-groove position called winter. We've removed the cap on the filter. We've removed the drain plug on the pump. We've removed our hose. We're going to go ahead and remove the hose on the return line as well. And at this point in time, we have winterized the system. We are ready to shut things down until next season. This is a backwash line. Most people have backwash hose, or they could have a line on it. Really doesn't matter. That you can leave because any water that's in there is going to drain out. On this particular setup, I've got it hard plumbed because I've got two systems tied together, as you can see here. But these are my display pools, so we did that because this is more permanent. So basically, this doesn't really matter, but we want to make sure that the pump is empty. We want to make sure that the tank is empty. If you do everything correctly but forget to drain this tank and this cracks, that's an expensive mistake. We want to make sure that we do it right. Okay, as I said before, there are different ways to winterize a pool. For an example, some people will cover the pool and leave the filter system running because they don't want to mess with the plugs and the hoses and things like that. If you live up north, however, there are different methods in winterizing the pool. For an example, some people will cover the pool and let the system run, or they'll cover the pool and they'll drain the filter, put the filter on recirculate, and let the system run while it's covered so it doesn't freeze. And then there's some people up north that actually will lower the water in the pool below the skimmer or the return, and they will drain the equipment completely because it does get a lot colder. So there are different ways, and if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. I'll be glad to help answer any of those questions that you might have. It's also important to note that some people don't winterize their pool and they leave it open year-round. Just a matter of preference. Some people don't want to hassle with it. They're not swimming, but they just want to leave it open. You can do it either way. So hopefully you guys found this video to be helpful. If so, Hit the like button and definitely subscribe for future content. For all your pool needs, visit us at hallmarkpoolsupplies.com. I will post the link down below pertaining to all the things we've talked about, as well as all the different cover sizes that you can get for your above ground pool. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us. We will be glad to help. My name is Mark. As always, I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you guys on the next video.